How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Donald Trump deciding to ground all Boeing 737 MAX 8 and MAX 9 planes in the US of A. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this, and the first reason is the most obvious. And before I even begin, I just want to say rest in peace to all those that have died in these plane crashes, and prayers out to the families. But there have been two crashes within the past 6 months. The first one was in Indonesia in October. It killed almost 200 people. And then the most recent one was on the Sunday of this week, which killed about 150 in Ethiopia. So you got two crashes with a lot of fatalities. I think maybe no survivors in a very short period of time. That's a problem right there. The second reason is because people are going to be afraid of these planes. If you have been seeing the news lately and you're seeing two MAX 8 flights crash, no survivors, they're talking about the autopilot may have problems, it's a mechanical issue with the plane. A lot of other countries have grounded their planes. So, I mean, people are going to be afraid. And then the last reason is because other countries have grounded their planes, which means that no Boeing 737 MAX 8 or MAX 9s will be allowed into the country or out of the country. So if you're flying from New York to Toronto or from New York to somewhere else in Canada, UK, you can't do that on a MAX 8 or MAX 9. That's just not going to be possible. And you can't come into the country with that plane because you can't leave the country where it's banned from. So that's a problem right there, just from a logistical point of view. Okay. That's a really serious issue. Now, I don't think we had to actually do this for real safety reasons, but it doesn't really matter because it's a problem that needs to be addressed before we are putting people in the planes. Just from a confidence standpoint alone, and also a political standpoint, do you know that the Democrats who mostly support grounding the planes right now will have a field day with this? It'd be all over the media, and that would contribute to the hysteria. I don't want to go to the airport because I don't want to get put on a MAX 8 or MAX 9. They're going to try to boycott Boeing. You definitely shouldn't boycott Boeing. This is, if not the greatest, one of the greatest plane manufacturers in the world. There are a lot of Boeing planes in the sky right now that are not going to crash. Planes are much safer nowadays because of technology. People talk about automation being the bad thing, but in many ways they have provided a lot of safety. Now, the issue in the case of the MAX 8 and MAX 9s may be the automation, but it's also because of pilot error, possibly. I was watching Fox News, and then a guy was on there talking about how the co-pilot in the Ethiopia case only had 200 hours of experience. That puts him at a student level. A student should not be in the sky with a plane of this magnitude. It shouldn't be going on. You should still be in a simulator. The problem is that a lot of developing countries have developing countries, and the airports a lot of times are new, built by the Chinese or other external forces, and they don't have the manpower to adequately put people behind the cockpit and get human beings from point A to point B. That's a big part of the issue here. You don't have the appropriate manpower, the appropriate skills, the appropriate training. And evidence for this can be seen in the fact that Ethiopia is going to send their black box out to the United States or somewhere in Europe because they don't have the technology in Ethiopia to even discover what's happening on the black box. That tells you right there that a lot of these problems could be caused by developing countries not being equipped to handle it. However, there have been at least 5 complaints, if I'm not mistaken. Now, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. But there have been some complaints logged here in the U.S. about these planes, talking about the autopilot's kind of messing up. As soon as you take off or shortly thereafter, the plane wants to kind of tilt the nose down. That's a problem. And in both of the cases where they had a crash, the crash happened like 5 minutes after takeoff, 10 minutes past takeoff, like in a very short period of time after they got in the air. That's when the actual crash happened because the problems happened right away, right after takeoff. So this is a very unfortunate situation. Again, rest in peace to all those that passed away and prayers out to their families. Hopefully you'll be able to get beyond this. But a lot of the big countries in the world have already grounded these planes. China, Indonesia, and Ethiopia, of course, UK, Canada. The list goes on. I think Russia banned them, or not banned, I mean grounded. And what I mean by grounded is They're not going to fly them for right now. I believe the issue is more software based, not mechanical. So as soon as they come up with a firmware update or something like that, they'll be just fine. But until then, I think the right move is to ground them, because you're not going to be able to go to different countries. There's going to be a lot of panic, and you want all those things to get worked out before you put the plane back in the air. And what you don't want to happen is a plane to crash after you said they were all safe in the USA. That would be a very big problem, a big time safety risk, and just bad for optics. Beyond the actual human toll, it'll just be bad in general. Like the headlines will read, the planes weren't grounded and people died. Trump is to blame. The Boeing CEO was to blame. Let's just put a pause on it for now. I believe all the planes are safe, but let's just make extra sure before we put the planes back in the air. So what do you think? Do you think the planes should have been grounded? If so, why? Do you think that I'm wrong here, that the plane should still be in the air? If so, why? We have not seen the black box from the Ethiopia plane, and I'm not quite sure about the plane in Indonesia. If you've seen information about the black box from Indonesia, let me know in the comments below. I'm not sure if they found it because it crashed into the Java Sea. So I don't really know if they were able to actually get that or not. Either way it goes, hopefully we'll be able to find out more about what happened. Was it user error? Was it a software issue? What's really going on with these planes is making them crash after takeoff? So whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.